Welcome to another round, as John would say, of bitter ends, salty takeaways, and how petty can we get? Well, it's just me, so it's probably going to be pretty petty. Nick is indisposed, John is in Kennesaw, and Jason is attempting to call 2 games in a matter of like 6 hours. So let's just get mean about it. Atlanta United with a 3-2 victory over DC United. Bangers everywhere in this game. Goalkeepers making saves they don't really have any business making. It had everything you want from a matchup of 2 teams that no one's really going to want to see in the playoffs, but we'll get to that. First of all, let's continue the revenge tour of Ezequiel Barco, who decided he just wanted to keep scoring goals at will, so he did. In just an absurd free kick. Put the ball into about a ball-shaped hole and about the size of a ball. It's just a ridiculous and really dumb free kick that I don't know a nice way to say other than like, I don't really know if he had any business making that. But Ezequiel Barco is feeling good about himself. He's healthy because he's not getting kicked to the moon. He's got confidence. And now he's scoring goals, so life is better for him. Great goal from Barco there. Then you get Joseph Martinez with Barco feeding Joseph as Barco comes down the left-hand side. Barco ends up playing the ball as Joseph kind of cuts from the middle to the left and one times it in. That's probably the least impressive goal today, and it's still really impressive because it's one of those things that he takes that with his weak foot and just doesn't take a touch to settle it. And it's not flying, but still one times it and puts it in the inside the near post. It's a tougher shot than I think it gets credit for. And Joseph just does difficult things really well, and we take those things for granted because he does the difficult things and makes them look easy. Then you get Felipe scoring an absurd volley off the bounce that Brad Guzan wasn't going to save it. It's okay. No one needs to be mad at Brad Guzan. I know Brad Guzan is a popular topic. Anytime like things don't go great, Brad Guzan is one of those, man, we need to move on. We got to save some money and we should move on from Brad. I think Brad's here for a couple more years under contract. We'll see how that contract plays out. But Goose is making saves, and he marshals the back line well, especially at times when it's a young back line, like today, where you have a young George Campbell. And I'm glad everyone's on the George Campbell train. Welcome. I'm sorry you're just going to have to hang on to the outside of the train. I'm taking up a seat, and I'm using the other seat for my feet because I'm feeling comfortable in the we told you so wagon. Y'all can get in later. When my feet get tired of sitting up here, I'll give a seat to somebody else. Until then, Brad's doing a good job of that. He's doing a good job of marshaling that back line, and he's making saves. Distribution's kind of up and down. Yeah, it's not the end of the world. He does a pretty solid job, and nothing is catastrophic with Brad Guzan. I promise you, it can be a lot worse. Like when you brought him in here in 2017 in the second half of the season, till now, you've gotten a number of years of really solid goalkeeper play now. You're into season 5 of really good goalkeeper play for Atlanta United. Don't take that for granted because I promise you it can get really weird. It can get worse. Like you go look at Minnesota, who struggled for a while. Like Bobby Shuttlesworth is one of the most Jekyll and Hyde goalkeepers imaginable. LAFC has struggled to lock down a goalkeeper. We could get into Dallas with Garcia and his off the field issues. Like, man, it's gonna be okay. Like, Brad Guzan's fine. He wasn't going to save that. That's okay, because sometimes you hit balls and things get done that can't be saved. And it's the same thing with Barco's first goal. In fact, let's talk about the last goal for Atlanta United, because they're going to put a monument out on that field, kind of like Kennesaw Mountain Battlefield Park, showing you where exactly all the bodies fell for DC as Marcelino Moreno danced around everybody, got in the box, basically got all of the eyes on him, and then George Bello, who, I know a lot of people giving him credit, so let's do it here too. George Bello makes a really smart run. He doesn't give up on the play, makes the run into the box, hesitates when he sees, I think it's Donovan Pines, looks over his shoulder at him, and then he makes the run in, and it's just a simple pass from Moreno, and Barco turns it in. It's the simple things, but I will reiterate this, and God knows I've said it so many times, and we're going to keep saying it. The simple things are only simple until they're not being done. Then they become a problem. And just turning that ball in is a simple thing. This is the same thing with Darlington Nagbe, not to open that can of worms. So, you just took care of the ball. Yes, that's a simple thing until it's not being done correctly. But I digress. Really good there. Then you get the Flores Galasso right at the death for DC to make it 3-2. Joseph hits the post. Joseph could have had 3. If you go into the Bello miss early in the game, he could have played a square ball to Joseph. It was a narrow window to play it. There's no guarantee that it works out, but Bello's being selfish in that moment. I'm not going to crucify him for it. There's parts of Bello's game, though, that I think you're still waiting on seeing develop. All right, so 3-2 final. That's wonderful. Let's get into just the idea now. I need to know, are we to the point yet where we're cool with the fact that this roster might be constructed okay? Like, I know that was a thing for a while where we were going to blow everybody out. Like, we were going to blow out the front office left, right, and center because the roster wasn't good. Playing pretty well right now with the roster that everyone said wasn't good. And I don't even want to hear about the fact, well, they brought in Araujo. They did this, they did that. Like, cool. I know they did. I was there. I've seen it with my eyes. It's fine. But that being said, you're also dealing with a situation now where you're getting performance from depth guys. Like, Mateus Jacinto was a hyped guy when he came in here in early 2020, if y'all remember. The game in Birmingham, folks were lit about Mateus Jacinto. And then it just kind of fell off. And then I feel like everybody forgot they felt that way about him. And now everyone's cool with him again because he's feeling good and he's playing well. Cool, great. I'm glad we've all reached a consensus here because he's good. Roster construction's not bad. You're getting the depth performances from the depth guys. We ran into this with Breck Shea a couple of years ago with, why is Breck Shea playing left back? Why is this? Why is that? He wasn't supposed to. Y'all can revise history left, right, center, up, down, diagonal for all you want. George Bello was supposed to be your left back in 2019. He couldn't stay healthy, which sucked. But Breck Shea was not expected to start. Same with Adam John last year. Adam John wasn't supposed to start for Atlanta United at striker. Joseph Martinez blew up his ACL. Like, it's just one of those things that happens. Depth guys get pushed into starting positions. Sometimes they thrive and you get Cinderella stories and you get these folk heroes developing. Sometimes they just kind of do enough. Breck Shea went down to Miami. He's having a damn good life for himself. More power to him. He's a really talented player who's kind of found himself, I hope. Good job, Breck Shea. Proud of you. Good job, Mateus Jacinto. He's found his groove in this team. And that's awesome to see. But, yeah, this team's got talent. And it's got depth. And that's going to be the difference, I think, with this team as they continue to grow and continue to progress. It's the idea of it not just, is this team talented? Like, yeah, it's talented. It's got depth. Like, you can throw Jake Mulroney out on the field and give yourself a little bit of a break. He's better at the defensive side of being a left wing back than I thought he would be. You know what he can do on the dribble. You know, you go back and one of the wins you have at home early in the season against Montreal, it's Jake Mulroney creating on the dribble and getting the ball into Marcelino Moreno, who heads it home. Like, you know he's got some skill. Now, do you want him to start every game? I don't know. Seemed like he was getting a lot of starts at the end of the hindsight tenure. For me personally, I like him off the bench because I think his skill set has a very F you late in the game attitude of, oh, you're tired. Here's this really fast guy who can dribble and has a bit of an edge to it. Have fun with that. You're going to have these guys who are depth pieces. You know, Eric Lopez is going to potentially be a depth piece, even though I believe he's going to be playing for Atlanta United 2, if I remember the lineup correctly. So, man, it's going to be okay. In the grand scheme of things, I'm glad everyone's in a good mood. But I hope if we hit a rut again, we don't immediately go into, the roster construction is straight trash. Because right now, so where does it end and begin? I am kind of curious. Are we still in the sense of, hey, the roster construction is trash because Gonzalo Pineda and company are overachieving with it, or hey, this actually wasn't a bad roster construction. Things just weren't clicking, and the atmosphere wasn't where it needed to be within. Is it somewhere in between there? I'm not really sure, to be honest. But that being said, man, it feels like you should feel good about this roster. And if you really want to go out on a limb and get really weird, you really want to get some weird vibes out of this team, let's talk like 2016, 2017 Seattle, kind of like the Zombie Sounders, where a lot of people wrote Atlanta off for dead, although I think this Atlanta team is more talented than that Seattle team across the board. But they kind of wrote them off for dead, then they came back and became that team nobody wants to see in the playoffs. By the way, DC's going to be in that same conversation because DC is so is basically like ECW condensed down into an MLS team. It's like watching Sabu. Like, yeah, are they going to win? Possibly. Are they going to hurt themselves? Oh, very likely. But they might knock you out too. And you can't do anything if you're knocked out. They're going to knock you out and be the ones to land on top of you for the 3 count. Like, nobody's going to want to see DC either. Kamara's going to have to find a way to get into games, though, because if somebody's got the players to mark him out of games, DC's got to figure themselves out. They generated opportunities in this game, but, I mean, let's be square about it. Both those goals are Golazzos. And, you know, Atlanta's first one was too. But I think Atlanta was the better team on the day. I think they're continuing to perform now, and now you get Atlanta with kind of a chip on their shoulder. If we're going to be polite, if we're not going to be polite, they got a big damn chip on their shoulder, and they want to go beat the dog out of Philadelphia. I think it's personal for Philadelphia and Atlanta at this point. I think Atlanta has decided to make this a personal process after everything that happened in CONCACAF Champions League. Then Philadelphia snatching a draw away from Atlanta with I think it was Kai Wagner with the absolute rocket at the very end of the game, and Mercedes-Benz, one of the 2 games where Atlanta blew a 2-goal lead late. Yeah, Atlanta's going to want to go up there and beat the dog out of them. Can they do it? They can. Philadelphia kind of high-wired their way through Orlando for it, but before Orlando's kind of reverting back. Like, I talked about this last year. I love Oscar Pareja. He still has not fully exorcised the demons of Orlando's past. I don't know when he's going to be able to do that. No matter how much they win, when things get weird for Orlando, there's still a little bit of that, like, 2019, 2018 Orlando energy in them where they just kind of implode. They did it in the playoffs last year. Against New York City. They had a folk hero situation where they had a field player make a penalty save to send them through in the playoffs, but they imploded, and they did not handle their emotion well. There's still a little bit of that in them, and man, when things get south, this has been the case with Orlando for a while. When things get south, they get real far south real quick. Miami ran into this last week as well. Maybe it's a Florida thing. I don't really know. But I think if Atlanta keeps their head, yeah, you can beat Philadelphia. And you're talking about a statement performance in that sense. And even if you don't, probably going to drill this throughout the week. Please don't stare at the standings every 5 minutes. You will drive yourself insane. None of it really matters right now. Give it another week or two. Let's play the Major League Baseball Memorial Day rule of standings. We don't look at the standings until Memorial Day in baseball. They don't matter until then. Let's not look at the standings for 2 weeks with any serious, like, heart attack implications. If you want to peek at them and see how things are shaking out, cool. Don't lose sleep over the standings for two weeks. Because then we'll have a better idea. Atlanta's got a pretty, on paper, soft schedule. It's a very fluid term here to say that on paper it's soft, but it's kind of where we're at. It's soft on paper. We'll see how that shakes out. Orlando does not, by the way. Orlando has a couple of rock fights lined up for them. They're going if they win those, they will absolutely have proven something if they win those games, and I will be incredibly impressed. Not only in Oscar Pareja, but in the mental fortitude of that team. I digress. This is Salt from Atlanta's side. That's about how I feel about all this, though. Like it's a really good performance. Was it perfect? No, but you kind of power through with the raw talent you had, and you make up for some deficiencies. Also, this roster is fine. You're missing a lot of people. Emerson Hyndman is, of course, still not playing because he blew his knee out too. Emerson Hyndman was great. I feel like we forgot Emerson Hyndman exists. He was really good in this team. I'm excited to see what Emerson Hyndman fits into this team going forward. Because he's another one who kind of has that Barco of every time he finds himself, something weird happens. He was playing really well last year before the pandemic. Then he got COVID and was never really the same. He was playing really well this year. Then his knee blew up. We'll see how he does coming back. And for the love of God, please, I hope we treat Emerson Hyndman with the same patience we treat Joseph. And we treat a Jordan Morris when he comes back. And, Blanco out in Portland. Anyone else who blows out their knee, you got to give them time. You can't expect, they're cleared for play. You can't expect them to just jump in and be great. It might take 6 months. Atlanta's got depth to deal with that. They're going to have some roster decisions to make this year. Every team does every year. I'll be very curious to see what those roster decisions look like. I believe Emerson's still under contract going in through next year. We'll see how it shakes, though, man, and we'll see how it looks. All right. Not much in terms of y'all don't get up in the comments very often when they win. I'm starting to feel bad. If and when we Larry says if and when we move on from Goose, throw the bank at Bill. Man, I don't know if Hamid will leave DC. He's kind of got that cult stature there. He left, went to Europe, didn't really pan out. He came back. Hamid is... I think Hamid stays at DC. You've got guys in the pipeline, too. Alec Cann's a really good goalkeeper. I don't know if Alec Cann is what his long-term fortunes are. If he's that guy who's going to jump in and start for you for 5 years. If he's kind of has that Zach McMath energy where he's a really good backup. Maybe he goes somewhere else and starts for a couple of years. I don't know if he's that kind of guy or not. Justin Garces is at UCLA, really well regarded. Ben Lundgaard's very well regarded. Rocco Rios Novo is going to be a decision you have to make if you want to pay the money to bring him here permanently. He's looked incredibly good for Atlanta United too when he's had moments. Of course, we know about the Alaluense game. He apparently put stickum on his gloves, thank God. The ball doesn't just bounce off of them now, but he is certifiably insane and wonderful. So I don't know really that you're going to go down that route. Chris envisions Jarrett as the director of SALT for SDH. It's an unofficial position. It doesn't come with a pay bump, unfortunately. That's just the way it is. All the glorious footy from Pew Pew Pew. Yeah, it's loud on comments, y'all. It's a good thing, though, I guess. It's a good thing because Atlanta United with a victory. The roster is good. Everyone's happy. Everyone can look forward to the next games. Go watch the rest of MLS. The rest of the weekend's going to be drunk. Next week's going to be drunk, too. It's going to stay that way for a while because, man, the parity in this league makes it drunk and it makes it beautiful. I really do want to see how the rest of basically everyone else develops for Atlanta. Who else can step up? We know the BAM attack now at this point with Barco, Araujo, Joseph, and Moreno. Like, we know what you got at that point. And we're gonna see how it all kind of comes together. Because here to tell you right now, the chemistry isn't going to be 100% because Luis has only been here for a little bit of time. It will get better. It will get more terrifying. Barco allegedly is not at his peak. It will get more terrifying. So yeah, I don't know what the ceiling is. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So let's all just enjoy it together. Until then, just enjoy the fact that roster construction was good. Atlanta United's good. Joseph's back. The Barco Revenge Tour will actually never end, and I look forward to it. The George Campbell wagon. My feet are getting tired. I'm going to take them off a seat. Somebody can come in and grab a seat in the I Told You So room on the George Campbell hype train. You're very welcome. I've got a pre-planned ticket for the Bryce Washington hype train if you want to get in on that one as well. It's just, at this point, it's like buying Bitcoin for 25 cents. And, we'll just see where it all goes. But that's this week. Man, we'll see what happens next week. Y'all take care.